What's going on YouTube? This is your boy Jeremy Frazier back at it again with another video, and we're going to get into part 3 with our introduction to financial literacy, and we're going to be talking about budgeting, right? It's so important to understand budgeting because you need to have a good idea of what's flowing into your pocket versus what is coming into your pocket. Without understanding budgeting, being financially literate will be extremely difficult. With that being said, we're going to get into a budgeting overview. Alrighty, so let's get right into it and let's start talking about budget. And as I always do, it's important to define the words that we're learning. And based off Investopedia, a budget is an estimation of revenue and expenses over a specified future period of time that is reevaluated on a periodic basis, right? For me, I like to simplify it a little bit more. It's just a snapshot of knowing where you stand financially. Do you have money left over or do you not? Simple as that. That's what I look at a budget as, right? It's basically just a financial plan that you can leverage to make different financial decisions. And it helps you throughout your life in all aspects financially. So that's budget in a nutshell, right? So I want to give you 5 tips on budgeting. Easy tips, right? First thing is calculate your income after taxes. We all work a 9 to 5 for the most part, right? 90% of people work for someone else, which means you're getting taxed every paycheck that you get. So don't be a captive to what you make annually on paper. Look at what you actually get in your bank account after all the taxes and deductions that come. Because a lot of times we get a little overconfident with our base salary, not realizing that after we do all our deductions, we're really not pulling in as much money as we thought, right? Number 2, identify your expenses, right? Specifically, look at things monthly. I think that's the easiest way to go about it, right? Look at the things that you know are static from month to month, right? Like your mortgage, for instance. It should be the same price every month. But things that may change is your leisure activities. One month, you may eat out 3 times. Another month, you may not do it once. So you got to look at both moving expenses and static expenses, okay? Next thing is you have to create a budget. You know, creating a budget is extremely important, taking consideration your short-term as well as your long-term goals, right? And set those goals and make them realistic and attainable. The next thing is leverage this budget as a way to have a documentation of all the things that are going on. So that means every 2 weeks to a month, you're evaluating the documentation that you created and you're updating it based off of the goals that you're setting. And number 5, which goes with number 4, is just tracking the allocation of your budget. And I gave you a good rule of thumb, which is the 50-30-20 rule. So that, as you can see over here to the right side, is 50% of your money should go towards things like your rent, utility, debt, bills, those kind of things, right? Which leaves you with 50% more money. So now another 20% of that 50 remaining should go towards things like, you can allocate it towards like personal things like going to the movies, entertainment, going out to dinner and stuff like that. And this is your choice, right? You don't have to put 30% into that bucket. This is just a good rule of thumb. Because for people like me, I care more about investing in the short term as well as the long term than I care about having fun, right? I've had fun a lot of times in my life. I want to make sure I put myself in the best ability to achieve the goals I want sooner rather than later. So now that brings us to the last 20%, which is your emergency fund, your savings, retirement, and things of that matter. So these are 5 budgeting tips. And that is a good rule of thumb to kind of strive for your first budget. 50, 30-20. Essentials, personal, savings. Okay? So let's start looking into a couple budgeting tools. There's many more than the two that I have on the screen, but these are two well-known budgeting tools that any one of you can get right now to start creating your budget, right? You got Google Sheets on the left, and you got Mint on the right. And as you can see, they both have their pros and their cons. From Google Sheets and Mint, they both are free to use. You can access it from anywhere, right? This is an app you can put on your phone. We have a phone on us 24/7. Same thing with Google Sheets, right? They have a template already that you can use for Google Sheets. All you got to do is sync your bank accounts with Mint. Very simple things. Cons with Google Sheets in particular, it's time consuming, right? You got to put in all these numbers one by one, which means you have to look at all the different things. For me, I think that's a good idea, especially for your first time doing a budget, because sometimes you don't really realize what you're spending because you're not looking at the money. With Mint, it will show you it, but it's not the same, and it doesn't get as granular as you can get by going line by line with a Google Sheets. But for our beginners who are just looking to get some level of a budget to know how they're spending and what they're spending, Mint is a great first option. So weigh the pros, weigh the cons, and pick one.
Put that work in. 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 They got to catch up, cause I'm too fast like you say. Don't put me in no one-on-one, get cooked up. Well done. Came about that low pond, but now I'm swimming with